Hello and welcome to the Film Pulse Podcast, the official podcast of filmpulse.net. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is episode number 172. My name's Adam Patterson. With me today, Kevin Rakestraw. How you doing, Kevin?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Well, I hope everyone listening had a good 4th of July. How was yours?
Mine was fantastic.
Mine was pretty good, too. Can't complain. I have family visiting, so it was good times. Great oldies.
That will forever be in our minds.
Yep. Unfortunately. Actually,
Yep.
Fortunately, no, those were good times. In honor of Terminator Genisys coming out this week, we're going to be talking about the original Terminator movies. We're going to be talking about Terminator 1, titled The Terminator, and we're going to be talking about T2, Judgment Day.
T2. We're not going to talk about the third one.
Or the fourth one. Although I will be talking about Terminator Genisys, because I did see that this week, so I'll be talking about that one a little bit. We're also going to be going over some of what we've been watching, DVD and Blu-ray releases, VOD releases, going to do some predictions, so got a little bit of everything this week. Remember, you can send us your questions to podcast@filmpulse.net, and be sure to check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/filmpulse. Let's go ahead and just dive right into Terminator.
Let's get into some Terminators.
So it's been a while since I've seen the Terminator. Now, have you seen the Terminator before?
I don't know, to be honest.
Because
rewatching them, at least I think that's what I was doing. I recognize some things, but I don't know if it's just a matter of it's been so long that I just forgotten what the movie was.
It's funny.
I don't know.
It's funny that the Terminator series, at least the first two, I think they could easily be one of those movies where it's such a part of our pop culture. It's so ingrained in our pop culture that you could easily think that you saw it before, when in fact you haven't.
Exactly.
I was watching this last night with my girlfriend, and she's like, "Oh, I just realized why I don't remember this scene." She's like, "I haven't seen this movie before." She's like, "I could have sworn that I've seen the Terminator, but I don't think I have."
Yeah, that was essentially me the entire time. I was like, have I seen this before? Like, this seems kind of familiar.
I've seen it multiple times, because I remember the first time I saw the Terminator, it was my aunt had it on VHS, and I actually saw the second Terminator before the first one.
Oh, no.
Which, I think that the second Terminator is arguably better than the first one, but we'll get into that. Let's talk about the first one here. I have a synopsis. A human-looking indestructible cyborg is sent from 2029 to 1984 to assassinate a waitress whose unborn son will lead humanity in a war against the machines, while a soldier from that war is sent to protect her at all costs. Written and directed by James Cameron. It's got some other writers credited to it as well. Gail Ann Hurd and William Wisher Jr. is credited with additional dialogue. I'm not sure what that means. This stars Arnold Schwarzenegger, Michael Biehn, Linda Hamilton. Lance Hendrickson's in there. Forgot he was in it. Thought that was...
That's right.
Interesting thing. And a little cameo from Bill Paxton that I totally didn't remember at all.
Oh my God, that's right. That was Bill Paxton.
Yeah. So Kevin, after seeing the Terminator again, or possibly for the first time, what'd you think?
It's a pretty badass movie. Gotta say, the effects work. They hold up.
For 19, that was one thing. I was kind of surprised. Like, damn, this stuff looks pretty good. Like even in the scenes where it's in the future with the tanks and the crazy robots and stuff, like, it still looks pretty damn good.
It's still impressive. It is still impressive. It looks good.
I mean, say what you want about James Cameron, but he does have a knack for tech, in movies.
He's got that tech down. Those chase sequences were pretty badass too.
Yep, yeah.
And I gotta say, my favorite thing of both of these movies is just the intro. the start.
Mm-hmm.
Just the electrical storm, them showing up, Arnold looking for clothes. It's just, it has to be my favorite portion of both of these movies.
I don't know if because I watched it in high def or I'm pretty sure that's the reason. Because when I watched it, you could totally see Arnold's wiener flapping around as he's walking, and I'm pretty sure I never remember seeing that. But in the high def version, you can totally see his wiener flapping around as he's walking.
Just the first one, I mean, he rips a guy's heart out.
Yeah.
Like right off the bat.
Yeah.
Like I was not prepared for that.
Yeah. Yeah,
And then the second one was pretty badass too, because I love that they added the whole orb,
mm-hmm.
the orb thing,
Yeah.
where it like melted everything around
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I mean, that looked fantastic.
It's like a force field of some sort that's in Genisys too. Now,
Is it?
I'm
Does it look as good?
yeah, it looks really cool. Because in Genisys, when they come in, they are in the middle of a highway, and a car hits them, like the side of a truck hits them, and it like wipes the whole. It's really cool looking. I'm gonna try not to, because there are a lot of comparisons I want to make to Genisys, just because of what that movie is. So I'm gonna try to hold off on those comparisons till after we talk about the other two, but they'll probably creep in here and there. So,
Gotcha.
getting back to the first one, so this is the one where Arnold is the bad guy. He's the evil Terminator, set out to kill Sarah Connor, whereas in the second one, obviously, he's the good one, protecting her from the T-1000. One thing I gotta say when I was watching the first one was I kept thinking to myself, they just don't make movies like this. I mean, looking back, the Terminator was such a unique movie. There's nothing like it. It was just such a fresh idea, It's like, it's a mixture of sci-fi and horror, and you have like the time travel elements, and there's a pretty decent amount of world building in the first Terminator. Like, there are things that they hinted at in the first Terminator that they did not explore until the second one.
Which is, I thoroughly enjoyed that, because you could tell that it was thought out.
Mm-hmm.
That they were going to be getting into some things.
Yeah.
Which immediately made me want to watch Terminator 2.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as the Terminator was done, I had questions.
Yeah.
And I wanted them answered. And they kind of were in T2 a little bit. But yeah, you're right. The world building is just, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I just love the idea that the hook of the movie is the bad guy.
Yeah.
Like, that's the badass portion of this movie.
Yeah.
Is the bad guy, the villain.
I mean, there are entire scenes of this movie that focus just on Arnold mowing people down. Like,
he destroys so many people.
We see a lot of the movie from his perspective, where Sarah Connor and Kyle Reese are off doing their own thing. And we spend a lot of time with Arnold. Now, obviously, clearly, he's on the cover. He was the selling point of this movie. And this movie is really what made him a huge, phenomenal star. Because
I gotta say, he is awesome in both of these movies.
He is. He's awesome in Genisys, too. I'll say that. He's the best part of Terminator Genisys. He just owns that character.
He sure does. Especially in T2 when they, between him and Furlong.
Yeah, when they start putting the comedy in it.
Yeah, and he starts teaching them some things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he is amazing as a robot, or a cyborg, I should say.
Yeah, yeah.
He does perfect cyborg. Where I wonder if we just are what we think of a cyborg, we just think of Arnold.
It could be, because it is that ingrained. I mean, the first, we were 1 year old when the first Terminator came out, and when Judgment Day came out in 91, so we've been with this Terminator series our entire lives.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be. when I think of a cyborg, yeah, the first thing I think of is the Terminator.
The fucking Terminator, man.
But it's such
I mean, the intro was pretty great with him ripping that guy's heart out because I didn't remember it being that gruesome
yeah,
and violent. So that would kind of like push me back in my seat a little bit. Like, oh shit, this is serious.
yeah,
I kind of felt like Furlong in the second one when he's like, this is intense. I wasn't quite ready for
yeah.
that. But then everything at the Tech Noir,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that slow mo of Arnold walking by while, you know, she bends over and he can't, and it's all slowed down.
When he has the laser pointed
Yeah,
on her.
just the look of that entire shot, that whole sequence. I was just like, oh my God, yes,
Yeah,
yes, please.
it's awesome. It is really awesome. I mean, again, James Cameron, man, I wasn't a big fan of Titanic. I wasn't a big fan of Avatar, but man, I feel like when he gets it right, he really gets it right.
He sure does.
Because the Terminator, whew. It's so 80s too. It's such an 80s movie, but it also somehow feels timeless in a way.
It does.
Because it is very much ingrained in the 80s. A lot of the music that they play is very... I mean, the hair... Linda Hamilton's hair in this movie, she's got that sweet mullet that's like poofed out.
Oh,
Bill
God.
Paxton playing one of your typical 80s punk gang members.
Oh, jeez.
It is a super 80s movie, but...
And just trash everywhere.
Yeah,
There's just
of course.
trash.
Yeah, garbage blown around everywhere.
Strewn across the streets. I mean, if you think about it, we've come a really long way in waste management since the 80s.
Absolutely.
Because almost like 80, every single like 70s and 80s movie, it's just alleyways, just full of trash.
Yeah.
Just like knee deep.
And it's always wet, and there's always steam coming out
Oh,
of
it's just
everywhere.
disgusting. I'm pretty sure that both guys, when they came back, Terminator and Kyle Reese, I think they got Hep C like immediately.
Probably, because they were naked and they didn't even have. They're
They're
walking in their bare feet.
That's all I could think of. Was just like, oh my God, it's so disgusting. And then Kyle Reese puts on those homeless man's pants.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, that is disgusting.
Yeah, he probably pees and poops in those pants.
Oh God, and it looks like they're covered in pigeon shit.
Yeah,
Just,
yeah,
it was a disgusting first 20 minutes, I'll say.
it was. Going back to the level of violence in the first two Terminator movies, they kind of neutered the Terminator series over the years. All the newer ones are just not, the level of violence is just nowhere near the first two.
I mean, the first one you have, which I think is like the apex, the high point of the first Terminator, is the police station.
Mm.
The just all-out
The
massacre,
slaughter.
which he dispenses of everyone.
Yeah.
Just completely destroys them, and then essentially it kind of dies down after that. I thought, and it started to drag a little bit, but then T2, the nightmare sequence that Linda Hamilton has, like Jesus
Yeah.
Christ, was that not disturbing?
Yeah.
For fuck's sake. It's a whole playground just being annihilated, looking like Pompeii, and then not only is it people on fire and then like crusted over, and then those explode,
Yeah.
and you're left with just the skeleton.
Mm-hmm. Children.
It's just like, yeah, it's like that's a bit much. It's a bit much.
The one scene in T2 that I'll never forget the first time I saw it, because I was very young when I saw T2, was the scene when the T-1000 is going after John Connor's. Was going after John Connor, but he ends up at his foster parents' place, and when he gets the foster dad, when he's drinking the
Yes.
milk, and he puts the freaking liquid needle spear through the milk carton, through his mouth and into the wall.
Oh God.
Just that scene, how they kind of, the milk was pouring out everywhere, and just, ugh.
Which even though I mean those effects were pretty
Oh yeah,
badass. I
yeah,
mean
yeah,
it's a little shoddy when they do the full body
yeah.
liquid metal
But
to I mean that doesn't look too great, but all the appendages, the what did Arnold call them? Knives and stabbing weapons.
yeah, yeah, that's what he called him.
Like when he has like kind of they're almost like hooks when he's like trying to get on the back of the car.
Yeah,
I mean that looks pretty damn good even now.
yeah, which is crazy because I think a lot of time, at least for me, when I look at early CG, I look at Jurassic Park as kind of like the de facto standard for early CG in movies. But, this came out 2 years before Jurassic Park. And a lot of this movie, I mean, everything with the T-1000 is CG. And
Yeah.
it's early CG, and it looks pretty damn good, except like when you said when his entire body turns to the liquid metal. The way
Yeah.
he
But
moves looks a little ridiculous, but
but hell, even when Arnold shotgun blasts to the face and like rips his head
yeah,
in half, I mean the hell that looks damn good.
yeah, I completely agree. I mean, after seeing, because there is a T-1000 in Genesis, and I don't know if it was intentional, but I'm pretty sure it was. The way that they did the effects work in Genesis, they tried to do they made it look the same.
Mm.
Because Genesis is basically a re a reimagining, a reboot sort of the first two Terminator movies with other things thrown in there. It's crazy, and I'll get to that in a
Is
bit.
it is it is it is it kind of like maybe like a parallel
It
storyline or something like a
well,
different reality?
well, this is one of the issues I had with it. Is the first Terminator movie is a possible outcome that didn't actually occur because of Genesis. So the way that the time travel and timelines are explained in the Terminator films, they say that the future isn't written. You can change the future. But what they're saying in Genesis is you can change the past too. So
Okay.
the beginning of Terminator Genisys is when Kyle Reese goes back to 1984 to protect Sarah Connor. However, when he gets back there, the Terminator from T2 is already there protecting Sarah Connor. And
Oh,
the
goodness.
T1000 is goes back instead of the original Terminator. So it gets pretty complicated, but that was kind of one of the things that I thought was a bummer about Genesis was that it made everything that happened in the first two Terminator movies pointless. Well,
Hmm.
theoretically Terminator 2 as well, but see, they didn't get into that whole time where John Connor was a boy. They didn't go that far into it because what they do is they start in 84 and then they end up time traveling to 2017 because there's this whole other thing that's going on. And man, if you thought the Terminator time travel stuff was complicated before Genesis, Genesis makes everything even more complex and convoluted and confusing. It's cool. I will say it's cool how they did it. But what did you think? What were your thoughts on just looking at the first two Terminators? What were your thoughts on how they did the time travel mechanics and all of that?
I'm kind of confused with the first one because essentially what John Connor's doing in the future is just sending back his dad to ensure that he has sex with his mom so that he can be born, which seems like one of those chicken and the egg type situations.
But does he know in the first one? Does he know that it's his dad that he's sending back?
I don't know, but I mean, it's his dad,
Yeah,
so
it is his dad.
he can't exist in the future yet. So Kyle Reese had to go back before 1984.
Yeah, but see, that's time travel. That's like time travel loophole or whatever paradoxes that you get
Yeah.
into. You could say that about any kind of time travel movie where there's that. It is kind of
True,
the
but
chicken and the egg.
it's just odd to think of, that's the crux of the situation here. in the Terminator is that a guy in the future is sending back another guy
Yeah, well,
to ensure that he has sex with his mom.
theoretic, yeah, but theoretically, John Connor knows that he has to send Kyle Reese back ahead of time. So he's like, I have to send him back, or else I cease to exist. So,
Yeah.
if he didn't, if he was like, you know what, I want to see what happens if I don't send him back, then theoretically that timeline would just cease to exist. Like, it would just disappear, and it would be it'd be something else.
And that's when I was wondering if they were getting into that with Genesis, because they even do kind of hint at it in the beginning of the Terminator that like this is one possible outcome.
Right. Yeah. It is. Yeah, they do play with that a lot in Genesis, where they're like, okay, well, the thing that was supposed to happen, because the beginning of Genesis, like I said, John Connor sends Kyle Reese back, and he knows that Kyle Reese is his father, and that he has to send him back because at this point, John Connor lived that life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He lived through Terminator 2, and he knows what must happen to get to that point.
Yeah.
Because his mom told him this is what needs to happen. This is what needs to fall into place. So in a sense, and that's the whole thing, because like he knows where to attack Skynet. He knows where to where they're storing all their mainframes and all that stuff in the future. And everybody thinks that he's like a prophet. Everybody thinks that he's some sort of magical being because he always knows where to attack them.
Yeah.
And it's because of the whole time travel thing. So he tells Kyle Reese, you need to go back, you need to do this, but there's kind of a wrinkle, something that happens that alters the past.
Oh my goodness.
Because as it turns out, the good Terminator, the good Arnold, they sent one back, or someone, and they don't say who it was in Genesis. I don't know if that's a plot hole or something that they're trying to save for something else. Someone sends the good Terminator back to when Sarah Connor was 9 years old to protect her.
Goodness. So there's just Arnolds in every decade, just about.
Yeah, there's multiple Arnolds.
Does a good Arnold fight a bad Arnold?
Yeah.
Oh man.
The one from and that's kind of the crazy thing. The when they go back to 1984, that whole scene when Arnold first appears in 84, when Kyle Reese first appears, when he sees when Kyle Reese sees the dump truck guy, not the dump truck, the garbage truck guy, the interaction with Bill Paxton and the other people that Arnold has, all of that is shot for shot remade for Genisys.
Is Bill Paxton in it again?
No, he's not. No, he's not. But I mean,
that would have been amazing.
Same camera shots and everything, like same framing, like the scene when Kyle Reese goes into that clothing store and he sizes up the shoe.
He gets himself those Nikes.
Yep, that's all.
Still had a Nike product placement in the first one.
It's all the exact same. The same shoes, the same Velcro. The scene where they show the camera's like on the floor and they show him Velcroing up the Nikes. That's exact same. It's crazy how they did it. Same lines, same dialogue, same everything.
Wow.
So yeah, it's kind of cool how they did it. But it's the big difference is in that scene when he's picking up the clothes, he's not running from the cops. He is at first, but then a T-1000 comes, and that's when things start to get different.
It almost sounds like what you're describing to me. Almost sounds like they just wanted to put enough of the good Terminators, Terminator 1 and T2, in this new movie in hopes to make people happy.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way they can't like it. Like, half of the movie is just the first two.
They didn't... It's funny because they didn't really even take into account the events of part 3 or 4. They just didn't even... They didn't even bother with those.
And this is kind of why I wanted to do this, because I had no interest in watching Genisys. I didn't want anything to do with this. And I thought it'd be a good time to perhaps rewatch or watch for the first time the first two Terminators. And like what you're describing to me, I'm just thinking, we'll just watch the first two Terminators instead. Like it sounds like you're just better off doing that.
Um, yes and no. It's not a straight reboot. It's not like a straight remake. Like I said, only a small portion of it takes place in 1984, and then they time travel to 2017. So there is a lot of new stuff in there, and it does a pretty decent job of kind of wrapping up this whole war with the machines. And it's really not a bad movie. It's forgettable. And I was going to get into this when we a little bit later, but it's forgettable and it's pretty generic. There's a helicopter fight in it that's pretty cool. But
Is that the one that ends with Arnold jumping into
yeah,
the helicopter place?
yeah,
Torpedo style?
uh-huh.
Which
Uh-huh.
is, I mean, seeing that in a trailer, it's like, well, I'm pretty sure I saw the high point.
That is definitely one of the high points of the movie. The other high point is the scene that you also see in the trailer with the bus when it flips, because that's
Mm,
freaking awesome looking. But yeah, there's some cool action in it. The again the whole timeline plot thing, just it gets very very complex because they're
yeah.
going all over the place. They're sending Terminators back. They're sending T-1000s, and they're jumping. And part of it takes place in the future, and part of it's in '84 and 2017. And in this one, Sarah Connor already knows what's going on, and it's crazy.
Now, the worst parts of the first two Terminators are, it's mostly the dialogue. Let's be honest here. Because the first Terminator really dies down after that police station massacre when you start getting where it's just Linda Hamilton and
And Reese and the
yeah,
Terminator.
and Kyle Reese just like talking to each other,
Yeah.
like, oh, tell me about where you're from, and all that stuff, and just everything. It's like a snooze fest. It's terrible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
T2, there's not as much of it, but it's even worse because now it's like pretty much just delivered via voiceover, which is awful, especially at the beginning with Sarah Connor and everything that
Yeah.
she said. It's
Yeah.
just, oh my God. It's just like, shut your mouth. Just shut it. And that was the thing that scared me the most with the Genesis because it looks like in the trailer that there's a lot of talking,
There's a sig.
which is not
Well,
not the movie's strong suit.
yeah, I was thinking about this, and you have to do it in at least at the beginning. There's a significant amount of voiceover at the beginning of the movie that kind of lays everything out, but they had to. There's no way you can jump into this movie and have anyone understand what's going on without
True.
recapping it, because it when you're dealing with time travel like this, you got to explain some stuff. And
No, well, and the first one, the first Terminator, I didn't mind it as much because the way in which it was structured and executed made sense to me, and I thought it was okay. Sarah Connor and Kyle Reese having a
right, yeah,
conversation, and it felt natural. It made sense. But then T2, it seemed like they had no way of getting it
yeah.
across. So they're just like, we got to do voiceover.
There's two things that they do in Genesis. One is voiceover. There's a significant scene at the beginning that is all voiceover. That's kind of like a montage of just everything up until this point of what's going on. And it was fine. They again, they had to do it. The other thing that they do is sort of like in Terminator 1, where it's more like it's exposition, but it's kind of earned exposition, where you're explaining it to someone, one character is explaining it to someone, another character who doesn't really know what's going on.
Yeah,
Now,
and then you kind of just have
now some of it,
the visuals to go with it.
yeah, some of it I think is not really. Some of it I think is for us, because of all this crazy time travel stuff and alternate pasts and alternate futures. The Terminator Arnold tries to explain it to Sarah Connor and Kyle Reese, and that is just like, I'm not sure if
It's even
if that's for them or for us at this point.
it's even better that they have Arnold do it.
Yeah. But
In Genesis, is Dr. Silverman there?
no.
Does he show up again?
I don't think so. Unless that's no, I don't think it's him. I was trying to. I forgot who. Hold on a second, cause what's his name? Damn it! From Whiplash. Why am I blanking on his name right now?
Oh, shit. Oh my god.
I'm a huge fan of
Simmons?
J.K. Simmons. J.K. Simmons is in it, and I don't think that he plays the same
Wow.
character.
They do kind of look alike.
Because he plays who does he play? O'Brien. So he plays this guy who is a cop who kind of you know the scene in the first Terminator that I mentioned where he's getting his clothes, he's in the clothing store. Well, J.K. Simmons plays one of those cops that's chasing him.
Okay.
In the clothing store, and the T-1000 attacks, and he survives, and he sees it all happen. And Kyle Reese kind of saves his life. And then we jump ahead to 2017, and he's been trying to figure out what's going on this whole time. So he ends up helping them.
Gotcha.
Like, he figures out what's going on, that Arnold's a robot, and he ends up helping them. Not gonna. I don't really think that his character was necessary, but he was cool. I mean, I like J.K. Simmons and everything, so
It's just an excuse to put J.K. Simmons in there.
yeah, which I was perfectly fine with.
You're all right with J.K. Simmons being injected into any movie.
Let's talk about a little bit more about Terminator 2, T2 Judgment Day. This one had a lot more big action set pieces in it.
It's more of a spectacle.
Yeah, there was whereas the first Terminator was almost like a horror film. It was almost like a slasher film where it was really just Sarah Connor and Kyle Reese trying to run away from the Terminator. And it felt more intimate, it felt more closed in, whereas T2 it opens it up.
It's just
wide open.
Open. Two ridiculous cyborgs just destroying things.
Now, I still like Terminator 2 more. I think that Terminator 2 it's more fun.
There's definitely not as many valleys in T2.
Yeah.
But for me, I think I liked them about the same. Because I liked the intimacy of the first one. Even though it died down a little bit there towards the end.
Yeah.
It dragged on.
For me, it's almost like comparing Alien to Aliens, where I love both movies, but one is definitely the action one, and the other one is like more of the sci-fi horror one.
Yeah.
But
plus, I mean, just the stunt work in T2.
Oh yeah,
it's so much fun that very first chase sequence with Arnold on the motorcycle and Furlong on the dirt bike, and the 18-wheeler, and you're just watching that like they were actually doing this.
Yeah,
this is ridiculous.
A lot. Yeah, some of the effects work and stunt work in that movie is just crazy. It's just crazy.
The explosion at the end of that.
It's wild.
Jesus.
And I know that at the time when this came out, it was a very, very big budget movie. It was a $102 million budget, which for today's standards, that's pretty average for a blockbuster movie, but back then, that was a huge budget. And it shows. I mean, you can see it on the screen. I think when this came out, there was nothing like it at the time. It blew people away. It blew me away. I was just amazed. I loved how Arnold would cock that rifle when he did the flip.
Oh, yeah.
that was
spinning around.
It was pretty unnecessary, but at the same time, it was so badass the way he did it.
It's extremely badass. You kidding me?
This one had a lot more comedy, as I said, with John Connor being kind of a snotty little kid.
That's right. Just him teaching him.
Yeah.
You know, Furlong teaching the Terminator. Just when he tries to smile.
They do.
I just thought that was ridiculously hilarious.
That's a running gag in Genisys. The smiling.
It's so odd looking. It's perfect.
Yeah.
And see, that's a perfect. I mean, that's good acting. Let's be honest. Arnold doing good acting there.
I could look at T2 and eat every scene. I just love every scene. Even when Linda Hamilton's busting out of the asylum, just that whole scene, or the institution or whatever she's in, the hospital. Yeah. I love that scene. And she's a badass. I mean, in the first one, she played kind of the helpless woman victim. You know, she was falling and she was scared and she was running. But in this, it's like she's a completely different character. You know, she's just
straight badass.
Yeah, she's just a badass. And I like that they did that they made her a badass, that they made her stronger.
I did enjoy that as well. Added another layer to it, because now you just have just a boatload of people being badasses.
Yeah,
it's like badass overload.
But it's also funny when Edward Furlong is just like seeing his mom be this crazy badass.
And then and then it's essentially just him trying to reel her in, because she's kind of out of control a little bit.
At times, for sure. Yes, she's definitely out of control.
It's just, and it was, you're building up to this point where she goes to Miles Dyson's house, and you're like, okay, here we go. This is her being a badass. And to be honest, she is fucking terrible with a gun.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's Miles Dyson. He's a computer guy. He's just sitting there. And she fails miserably. Yep. But then, they enlist his help.
Yeah.
Shit gets crazy with helicopters and just the nonchalant Arnold flipping to the, was that like the grenade launcher, whatever it was?
Yeah.
When he's just standing at the window, destroying everything around him.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of action. There's more action in the second one, but there's also a lot of story development too. They start delving deeper into the origins of Skynet and how it came to be and all of this stuff. And this is whereas the first one, in the first Terminator, they're on the defensive the entire time. They're just trying to escape the Terminator. And this one is when it kind of switches gears and they go on the offensive and are like, all right, we're going to take down Skynet.
Yeah.
And I like that too. I like when they decided that's what they're going to do. They're going to bring down the whole system.
They're going to go at it. Plus, I mean, it's still, everything that's being discussed with Skynet and what Dyson's working on and everything, like, that works really well for today.
Yeah. That's the
you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the one thing that they get into with Genisys, is that everything that happens in Genisys can also be applicable to today, which is weird. They kind of redo how Skynet works and how Skynet took over in Genisys. It's basically like an operating system. It's basically Windows 10. That's exactly what it is. It's Windows 10, where it's this new operating system that's going to launch.
We have nothing to worry about then.
Exactly.
It's Windows 10. It's not going to work. It's going to be replaced by Windows 12 in like a year.
Yep.
So to just fucking wait it out. Jesus.
It's basically an operating system that runs on your tablets and your phones and your computer and everything, and defense contractors are using it, and militaries are using it, and all these people, and that's how Skynet starts and takes over.
So does it just slowly erode our mental capacity by asking us to update Adobe just over and over and over again until we kill ourselves?
Yep, that's how Skynet gets us, with endless flash and reader updates. And Java.
Oh, God.
Every time we turn on our device, there's a new update for Java.
Fucking Java.
So, this
makes sense.
Terminator 2 is on... It's number 41 on the IMDb Top 250. It won 4 Oscars, which is crazy. I knew that it was obviously a wildly popular movie, but I didn't know that it won 4 Oscars. It won for Best Sound... Best sound effects editing, best visual effects, and best makeup.
I would agree with
I would
all
agree with
this.
all of those. Yeah. The one thing, I mean, the the Terminator theme, the music it's iconic. And that's a badass. That is a badass song.
I would like the ending portion of this podcast, just you.
To be me
Yep. Just with your mouth. Exactly. Just do that
It was
the whole time.
nominated. It was actually nominated for best cinematography and best film editing.
Which it has Greenberg's cinematography for, action movies. Pretty, what happened to that? Can we get that back?
Yeah,
Like clean
clean.
cinematography? That'd
Yeah,
be fantastic.
where you can see everything. They want you
You
to.
know,
They want
you
you
know,
to see everything. They don't want to hide it.
no, dude. I mean, they're showing off.
Yeah,
There used to be such a swagger
yeah,
to old action films. Like every action sequence was essentially them just being like, "Look how fucking badass we are."
yep.
And essentially, the majority of the time, we were sitting there saying, "Damn, you guys are badass. How
Yeah.
the fuck did you do that?"
Well, we did have Mad Max this year, and I think that was they did it with Mad
A
Max.
step in the right direction.
Yeah.
Did they do it with Genesis?
Uh,
Yes and no.
yeah. I mean, again, a lot of it looked like the original, the first two Terminators, as far as cinematography. Uh, Honestly, I don't really remember. I didn't take note of the cinematography one way or the other. I wasn't bothered by it like some action movies where they pull in where it's too close and you can't see anything and there's too many cuts. So I wasn't bothered by it, but I also wasn't blown away with any of the effects. In fact, that helicopter scene, I told my girlfriend after we came out, during that scene I completely zoned out and was like not even paying attention at all. I was thinking about something else completely. So but that helicopter scene, it's cool. I don't know. I wasn't in it by that point because it happens towards the end of the movie.
Does Genesis have um an odd sex scene like the first Terminator
No,
with ridiculous editing
I
cuts?
yeah, I thought that they were gonna go there with it because they know at one point Kyle Reese and Sarah Connor already knows that she needs to have sex with him, but at this point she's never met him, so she doesn't know. She's like, well, because she's talking to Arnold and she's like, how am I supposed to fall in love with this guy? And because the whole time Arnold's like, when are you going to mate with him? So it's like a funny, it's like a joke in it, but no, there is no awkward sex scene. I was afraid that there was going to be one because the whole time I was just thinking back to the sex scene in the first Terminator and how unpleasant,
It's terrible.
how
It is so
unpleasant,
terrible.
how unpleasant the whole thing was.
The editing during that is just god awful. It's so bizarre.
It's very 80s.
It's just really awkward. It's like they just didn't know what to do,
Yeah,
and they just did like quick cut, quick cut. Show the hands again. Show the hands squeezing together. Cut to her on top. Cut back to the hands. Cut to her on top.
yeah, that was unpleasant. But overall, and it's funny too because I remember literally nothing from Terminator 3 and Terminator Salvation. I remember nothing from those movies.
Not that big of a deal.
But just
Don't worry about it.
judging the Terminator series on the first two and Genesis, just because Genesis is fresh in my mind, I still like the Terminator. I'm still a big fan of the story of the Terminator. I like the time travel stuff, even if it doesn't make a lot of sense. When you break down any kind of time travel, none of it makes sense. There's always going to be questions and paradoxes.
Oh, yeah.
I still think it's cool, and I think that the action is cool, and I think Arnold, it's to this day probably the best role Arnold's ever had, except for Kindergarten Cop.
Well, and I was kind of, watching these two, in my head, I had this, how I read a lot of people saying that Maggie from this year was one of Arnold's best performances. You know, he really got to show his chops. But I think the Terminator is. I mean, he's the definitive cyborg.
Yeah.
Like he defines cyborg, and he does it perfectly, which to me I think is a lot more impressive than just being a sad dad.
Yeah. I think.
I think there's a lot more nuance in his performance in Terminator 1 and 2 than there was in Maggie.
Yeah. In my little letterbox review for Genesis, I said that Arnold has the most personality out of anyone else in the movie, and he's a robot. So I think that it's just a role that he was born to play. I don't know why, if it's his dialogue delivery, it all works. It's just this perfect storm of things that work.
But let's be honest here. He's a terrible actor because he can't do any other voice besides his voice.
Right.
Okay? So you kind of have to incorporate that in, which I think is brilliant how Cameron does it because he does kind of sound like a robot. So let's make him a robot, and the voice is perfect for the role. Now, is his voice good in any way whatsoever for the role of that he has in Maggie, where he plays a Midwestern farmer, for God's sake?
Yeah,
No.
It doesn't add up, but we don't know his backstory. We don't know how he ended up there.
Not even fucking close. I mean, yeah.
I do
It just
wonder,
irritates me.
when we came out of Genesis, my girlfriend goes, why would Skynet make all their Terminators have Austrian accents? It's like, that's a really good question. I don't know.
There's probably just one guy. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna make him Austrian.
You would think that if they spoke English, that they would not have, that they would just have no accent. They wouldn't, or maybe an English accent if you want to go
Well,
that route.
it has to be Austrian because Arnold can't be bothered to even try and do anything else. Okay. They're like, can you give me a robot voice that no discernible accent whatsoever, Arnold? And he's just like, no, can't do that. Sorry, I'm going to speak with my accent. Take it or leave it.
Interesting.
And was just like, well, we got to take it.
All right. He's like, all right, whatever. We'll go with it. Interestingly, they do explain his aging in Terminator Genisys, which is funny because when I saw Terminator Genisys, it was before I rewatched the first Terminator. So how they explain it is it's because the Terminators use organic living tissue that it ages just like regular human. And when I first saw that in Genesis, I was like, oh, that they're just trying to explain it. That's whatever. But then in Terminator 1, they actually say that in the first Terminator. I'm like, holy shit, it makes sense. That works now. So I thought that was just a cool way of explaining the fact that he would age.
So in this regard, Alan Taylor at least took the time to rewatch the first ones to try and pick up some things.
Yeah. I mean, it fits together pretty nicely with the other ones. So, in that regard, it works. Again, didn't love Terminator Genisys, but Blake reviewed it for us, and he hated it. He gave it a 3 out of 10.
What would you give it?
I would give it a 5.5.
5.5?
Yeah,
right there in the middle.
Yeah, I'm comparing it to Jurassic World, which I would give a 6. I didn't like it as much as Jurassic World, so it would just be right underneath of Jurassic World.
Do they explain why they spelled Genesis like that?
Yeah, it's Genesis is the name of the operating system
okay.
that is Skynet, basically. So that makes a little bit more sense too, actually, because it's a system, so it's like Genesis system.
Yeah. It's fucking Adobe updates, man.
Yeah, I didn't hate Genesis.
Bring about the end of the world. Cause a huge nuclear explosion that melts all the children on all the playgrounds.
Yep.
And then crusts you over and then explodes all that matter from your skeleton.
I was fully expecting to see that scene that they show in every single Terminator movie with the playground and the swing set and the bombs. And they didn't show that in Genisys. They show the
What?
explosion, but they show they get into more detail with it. They're like, you know what? We have a bigger budget. We can do better CG. So they basically show the entire world exploding in Genisys. And that's not a spoiler. It happens at the very beginning of the movie.
It's still, I mean, that sequence in T2, that is disturbing.
Yeah.
That is extremely disturbing.
I think partially because of how it looks. Like the way that it looks so real.
It does. That is one hell of a set piece right there. And again, I was just like Furlong. I'm just like, damn, this is intense.
Yeah.
Time out, stop the bike.
And that was the thing that I guess I don't like about the newer Terminators is that they seem too clean to me. The way that they look visually, the way that the action scenes unfold, it all seems too clean.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of that is just due to the fact that it's probably shot digitally now, and it just everything's CG. But I kind of like it when it's darker, more grim and gritty.
Which is
and not PG-13. What the fuck? Make it rated R. It's a horrible, violent, grim, dark story. Don't gear it towards kids.
They're called fucking Terminators. Like, all they do is terminate things.
Why would you go for
Christ's
I don't
sake.
see why you would go for a PG-13 when the other ones are rated R. So nobody is going to go into Terminator Genisys without at least seeing a few of at least the first or second one. And those are rated R.
And I mean, you're trying to capture nostalgia here. 'Cause
Exactly.
You're trying to capture this entire crowd that grew up with Terminator and get them. But I mean, I guess they're trying to get a new set of fans.
Yeah.
But the way you got those fans originally was rated R.
Yeah.
It was gruesome. And, you felt like a badass kid watching Terminators.
Now, I will say, though, it didn't... As I was watching Terminator Genisys, I wasn't really bothered by it. It doesn't feel like they went out of their way to not show blood or anything like that. So it's not as egregious as something like The Expendables, when The Expendables went PG-13, and it was just like, this doesn't fit. This doesn't feel right. T-1000 still uses his freaking sword needle fingers to stab people, and there's a lot of violence. There's just not a lot of blood. And a lot of the violence is robot-on-robot violence. Because there's a lot of robots in this one.
It's just, I mean, Arnold's upon Arnold's.
Yeah, there is. There's old Arnold, young Arnold. There's the T-1000, and then there's the... This was spoiled in the trailer, and I don't know why they gave this away, but there's another Terminator that's John Connor. John Connor is a Terminator. And he's like a new kind of Terminator.
They're just making all different kinds of Terminators.
Yeah. Skynet, they're just kind of throwing stuff against the wall. They're seeing what sticks. Let's try this. That didn't work? Okay, let's try this other thing.
I like how they play with the accents.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting idea.
Mm-hmm.
They mix it up.
Yeah. Definitely.
All right.
So those are the Terminator movies. Terminator Genisys playing in theaters now. Very light recommend for me. If you're a huge Terminator fan, as in if you liked Part 3 and 4, if you liked Part 3 or Part 4, then definitely go see it, because it is the third best Terminator movie. I'll say that.
Yeah.
It's way better than those other two, but
the gap between 1 and 2 to this one is probably a huge gulf.
Huge gap. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Definitely. It ends up being a fairly entertaining yet ultimately forgettable action movie.
Gotcha. There's a lot of those being made.
It's fun. It's weird, though. They try to inject humor into it, but it happens at very strange times, and it just doesn't fit. I think if they tried to put more humor into it, it would have been more entertaining, more enjoyable. But it's just like when the humor does come, it feels out of place. So, I would still say it's worth worth checking out, even for you.
Okay. All right. Maybe we'll see.
But if you have, if any of you listening haven't seen the first two Terminators, absolutely check those out because they hold up tremendously. They're still fantastic.
They're badass.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about some of what we've been watching. I don't have a whole lot to talk about just because I've had family in town and it's just...
I only have three. I have three films that I saw.
Okay. I can talk about three because that's really all I have.
Let's do trifectas.
I saw a movie called Closer to God. This comes out this week, I believe, and it's a relatively low budget sci-fi horror movie directed by Billy Sense, and it's about cloning. It imagines a world, a future. I think it's like near future. I'm not sure if they ever really talk about the year that it takes place, but it's basically present day, and they successfully clone a human being.
Oh man!
But as it turns out, so the word gets out that they've cloned a human being, and of course there's like protests, and they're starting to worry about their safety, so they decide to move the baby to this doctor's house who he was kind of heading up the team that is working on this clone. So they move the baby to his house, and he's very rich. He lives on a big property, and as it turns out, this isn't their first attempt at cloning a human. They've had several failed attempts. One of these failed attempts survived, but he turned kind of into a monster.
Oh no!
And he is also living on this guy's property, and one of his housekeepers is taking care of this child, and eventually the child gets loose and starts killing everyone on the property.
Well, that's more than likely what's going to happen.
So it's
when we clone people.
It's an interesting movie because it is kind of a blend of science fiction and horror. The science fiction aspect of it I liked quite a bit. I like the idea, and I haven't seen a lot of movies that kind of explore the ideas of cloning and the issues of morality that pop up, when you're talking about cloning, and how you have some people think that it could be good, it could result in all of these great things, all of these scientific breakthroughs that could happen. They could work, curing diseases and things like that. And then you have the other, the right side of it, where it's like the Christians that are like all up against it and saying that it's soulless. This child is an abomination and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I like that. I like that kind of exploration. But when it heads into horror territory towards the end, it lost me a little bit. So,
it sounds like a very light recommend.
Yeah, very, very light. It's not great, but it's not horrible. It's got a terrible cover. The one on Letterboxd is fine, but the one that's actually like the main cover makes it look like one of those straight to DVD horror movies.
It sure does.
Yeah, and that's not really what it is. So that's kind of disappointing, but it's called Closer to God, comes out this week, I believe, extremely light recommend. I should have a review for that probably this week, and I'm probably going to give it like a 4 out of 10.
So what you're saying is that if you have to watch a movie, if you just have to.
Well, if you're in the mood for some sci-fi horror, yeah, it's not bad for being a low budget indie.
It fits the bill.
Mm-hmm.
You might not enjoy it, but it'll at least, it's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Exactly.
Gotcha. I finally dipped my toes back into some Bresson. 1956, A Man Escapes. This was after after watching two of his films, and not liking either of them and really just hating them, to be quite honest. Everyone, it was like an instant barrage of, you have to watch Manscaped. You have to watch Manscaped. That's the one. If you don't like that movie, then there's no hope for you. You're an awful person.
Okay.
So,
Ver-
like a year and a half later, I finally check it out. I was finally like, I built up enough courage to sit through it. And, my problem with his films has always been the acting style, the way that he just breaks down his actors and he uses all, non-professional actors. And they're just like, they're soulless robots. And it's just awful to me. It's just a terrible, painful viewing experience, right?
uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So, this is the first movie where he used all non-professional actors. And it works. And the main reason it works is because it's about a POW, a French resistance activist is captured by the Nazis. And it's based on his memoir. And it's just, there's no embellishments, there's nothing. It's just straightforward. They just show you how he's planning. Every single moment that he's spent awake, he is planning and working on an escape. So it's just meticulous, it's methodical, and it just walks you through it. There's no
I'm interested so far.
there's no sentimentality, there's no, embellishments, adornments. It's just, this is what it is. Okay? So it works because he's a prisoner. So the acting it makes sense in this respect because he is a broken down guy in a jail cell just working on trying to get out. And there's some dialogue, most of this time is just spent watching him, carve doors and such. And it's pretty much perfect, to be honest. It is like one of the best prison escape movies.
Oh.
Because it's just all that build up. And the cinematography this time around, which this is the earliest of his films that I've seen, so maybe he just got carried away with what he was doing and just lost sight or what, I'm not sure. But the cinematography is fantastic. The lighting is perfect. And it's tense. And it works. Unlike everything else I've seen from him is just awful. Ooh. So everyone was right. Bresson won. So his record right now is 1-2 with me. So he did it. He won. Big day for Bresson.
What was the name of this again?
A Man Escaped, which is on Hulu Plus.
Okay, Hulu Plus. So check it out on there.
So good work, Bresson. Pat yourself on the back.
I saw one that I liked quite a bit last week, and this is Big Game. The one with Samuel L. Jackson, directed by the guy who did Rare Exports. And you saw Rare Exports, right?
No, I didn't.
Oh. Why did I think you saw that? I thought we talked about that at one point. Well, if you saw Rare Exports, it has the same feeling to it. When I started watching this, probably 10 minutes in, I felt like I was watching an old Amblin movie. And as you know, I'm a big fan of those old school Amblin movies. And I think a lot of it is due to the score in this movie. But basically, it's about Samuel L. Jackson plays the President of the United States. He's on Air Force One, and terrorists shoot down Air Force One over the wilderness, in the Finnish wilderness, we'll call it.
Okay.
In Finland.
All right.
So he's crashes in Finland, and there's this 13-year-old kid who is sort of on a his village. When all the men in his village, on their 13th birthday, they send him out into the wilderness on their own to try to bring back an animal, hunt and kill a deer and bring it back, or a bear, just a big animal, bring it back, and it's sort of their rite of passage. It's sort of their transition from boys into men.
Gotcha.
So he's out doing his little vision quest, and he's just not cut out for it. Like, at least that's what he thinks and his dad thinks, but he's determined to do it. He ends up meeting up with the president after this really, really awesome plane crash scene, which is crazy because the movie's, it's not a big budget movie by any stretch, but that scene looked really good. I was really impressed with that scene. Ends up saving the president and helping him escape from the people that are trying to kill him. Very, very cheesy. It feels like a mix between, it's like an 80s, maybe even early 90s action movie, but it kind of embraces that, but also at the same time, it doesn't try to be that, if that makes sense. It's not like, oh, look at us. We're, looking at 80s and 90s action movie cliches and punching you in the face with them. It's not like that. It's its own thing. So it's a mixture of that and kind of an Amblin film. It has this childlike wonder to it where there's kind of silly adventure sequences where there's a scene where they're in a freezer and they're attached to a helicopter and they're kind of careening through the forest, and then they cut the line and they're like rolling down a hill and they're stuck in the freezer, and it's a fun movie. It's pretty light. It's not very violent or anything like that. I think it's rated PG-13. And yeah. I had a great time with it. Samuel L. Jackson was hilarious. The kid was really good. The kid is actually the same kid from Rare Exports, and he's quite good. Ray Stevenson plays the bad guy, which Ray Stevenson is just kind of like permanent bad guy status. He's great. He's great as a villain in pretty much anything he does.
Pretty much.
And I had a great time with it. Jim Broadbent's in it. Felicity Huffman's in it. Broadbent's great. He plays this kind of old school CIA operative that they bring out of retirement, sort of.
It's always that guy that comes out of retirement.
Yeah, and he's like an expert. Like, he knows exactly what's going on from the very beginning.
They don't even have to clue him in. He's like, I've been following from afar.
Yeah.
I never retired.
But it's a great time. I definitely recommend it. Don't go in expecting the best action movie ever. Some of the effects work is a little rough around the edges, especially that scene I mentioned previously with the freezer and they're in the helicopter. That looks, the green screening on that is not great, but it's not really enough to bring it down too much for me because it's just a fun movie.
All right.
So, Big Game.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, I would say check it out. I think it's on VOD right now. So
it sounds like a fun time.
It is. It is a fun time. It's funny. It'll make you laugh. It'll entertain you. There's some good action.
I watched something that was not a fun time.
Uh-oh.
It's a documentary that's sad, which it's Rich Hill.
Oh, okay. I
have you seen Rich Hill?
No, I haven't. I really wanted to see it back when it came out, but
let me break it down for you real quick. Rich Hill, okay, small Midwestern town, Missouri. They follow 3 young boys around, just showing their lives, which is really the problem that I have with Rich Hill is I don't know what the point of this movie is. This documentary. They don't explain anything. They don't discuss why it is the way it is. They don't discuss any ways to make it better. They're just essentially just showing you their sad lives, and that's it. And out of the 3 kids, there's one, his name's Apache, and it's as though through like the first quarter of the film, they kind of realize that they don't really have much with this kid, and they kind of just forget about him. Until like the end, they kind of come back to him a little bit, but there's really no time spent with him.
Is that the kid? Is that the kid that was wearing the Juggalo makeup?
No. They follow that kid and this other kid, Andrew, around the most, mostly because they have the more compelling lives. And it's just it's an affecting documentary. It's sad. It's gonna tug at your heartstrings because they go through some bad things, and it's just relentless, the things that happen to them, and you want so badly for them to catch a break and just have things turn around. They don't, and just kind of, it affects you, it hits you hard, and you can really feel for them, you can sympathize, but again, at when you're done watching it, you kind of think to yourself, like, well, what was the point of that? Like, I know about poverty. I've seen poverty.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of like just emphasizing what you already know.
Yeah.
Just be like, hey, you know how poverty's bad? And it's like, yeah, yeah, it is. Are you going to tell me anything new about it? And they're like, no, we're just going to show it to you.
Hmm.
It's just like, why? Why did you do that?
Yeah, maybe it's just like a slice of life thing to remind people that there are a lot of individuals living in this country that are not as well
Well,
off and lucky.
there's one with the Apache storyline when they do follow him around. There's one day where his mom is trying to get them to clean up the house, and there's trash everywhere. Like it is like up to their ankles, just trash all over the floor, everywhere. And it's one of those things that I've never entirely understood when it comes to poor people, poverty, and like to pick up trash, like any type of waste, really, paper, plastic, anything, and to just put it in some sort of receptacle for it, that costs no fucking money whatsoever.
That's true.
You don't have to have money to do that. Just pick it up and put it in something, not under your couch and let it pile up for like, it was like 9 months worth of trash just
Yeah.
covering their floor.
I often think about that when I see movies
It's
like
like
that.
just fucking clean. Throwing things away costs no money whatsoever. Just a heads up. It's a life hack.
It's a life.
Life life hack. Throw the trash away, okay?
Yeah, I'm kind of someone who believes that just because you're poor and don't have money doesn't mean that you can't live in a clean apartment or house. So
Yeah, I mean, I have friends growing up that, they were living in pretty much the same situation, but their houses were clean.
yeah,
They had probably less money than some of the people in Rich Hill. And the weird juxtaposition of this is there's their fair. It's like this world famous pie auction, and they're buying pies, one pie, just one fucking pie, for like $5,000. And it's just like, what? Can we explore that a little bit? Like, is the whole town in dire straits? Or it seems like a certain number of people have money, enough thousands for one pie.
pie money
And
here.
what are they using this pie money for? There's a lot of unanswered questions.
Hmm.
But it hits you. It'll wreck you seeing these kids, especially the Andrew kid because he's so hopeful and he's just really positive and he thinks things are gonna just really turn around.
Mm-hmm.
And then they spend some time with his dad too, and his dad is just a kid.
Mm.
I can't find work, so I'm gonna be a prospector. He's like, if you can't find work, just start digging for gold and silver. And it's just like, and it's just you feel so bad for the kid because you're like, oh my god, that's your father, because the roles are completely switched.
Yeah.
Like he's the father, and his father is the son, the child, and it's rough to watch.
Unfortunately, I think there's a lot of
Yeah,
instances of that in this country
it's sad to see.
and everywhere, not just this country, but everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of being wrecked, I saw a movie called Reckless.
Okay.
How's that for a
It's fine. Your
terrible
your
segue?
your segues are fucking on point.
So this is a thriller from the Netherlands, and it's just a pretty basic kidnap thriller. The thing that I liked a lot about it was the whole opening sequence of this film. Probably for the first maybe 10 or 15 minutes, there's no dialogue. It's just all set up. It's just these two guys. They're wearing masks. They're preparing something, and we know that they're getting ready to kidnap somebody, but we don't really know what's going on. And I mean, they are like meticulous in their planning. They have everything completely figured out. But of course, things go wrong. And it turns out that one of the kidnappers actually knows the girl that they've kidnapped, and that causes a lot of problems.
I know everything about this movie already.
Well, it does take some very interesting twists that you may not expect. At least
no,
I
well, I just saw that it's a remake of The Disappearance
Oh.
of Alice Creed.
it is, but and
Do
it's
they switch it up a little
it's
bit?
so funny because when I was watching this, I didn't know that, and when I was watching this, I was like, this is like the exact same as the disappearance of Alice Creed. And then after I watched it, I looked it up on IMDb, and I was like, oh, well, okay, it's a remake of that. Yes, they do switch it up. They takes at least see now. It's been several years since I've seen the disappearance of Alice Creed, so I don't remember exactly what happens in that one, but they do take some they do deviate from that story a little bit with this one, but it's fine. It's not amazing. I would probably still say check out the disappearance of Alice Creed over this one.
That is it's a, I guess say underrated film.
Yeah,
I thoroughly enjoyed the disappearance of Alice Creed.
yeah, yeah.
Didn't
This one's not bad. I mean, it's well made. It's well acted. There's some interesting things that happen in it. But I would say probably I'd still recommend the disappearance of Alice Creed over this one. But at any rate, Reckless comes out. This is one that damn it, what's that? Oh, Artsploitation. Artsploitation is putting this out in a couple weeks. It's going to be out on VOD and Blu-ray.
Gotcha.
I don't think it's out just yet. All right. Did you have one more?
I have one more. It's called My Name is Jill, which is on Netflix Instant. Peter Mullen, directed by Ken Loach, 1998. Poverty porn, if you want to call it that. It's Peter Mullen plays a recovering alcoholic. I think he's like 10 months sober, something like that, and he starts a romantic relationship with this woman that is, I guess she's like a health worker type. I'm not sure exactly what it is in their country, but it's kind of like CPS,
Mm-hmm.
Child Protective Services, and she shows up at the house of his nephew, and you got to do like home visits and everything, and that's where they kind of meet and they start this relationship, and he's trying to help his nephew out and trying to get off drugs and this and that, and then he gets kind of pulled into this these drug jobs that he has to do for this drug dealer to try and get his nephew out of a tight spot because he owes a bunch of money to some bad people, and then it all kind of gets pretty predictable. You know what's going to happen. It's your standard, guy gets pulled in, thinks that all he has to do is this little job and everything will be fine.
One
but
last
it's
job.
it's not like that, man. Peter Mullen is fantastic, as always. The only thing that I don't understand with this movie, like I say, it's fairly predictable. Good performances. The storyline's tight. The only thing that kind of gets me is, okay, so he's been off the drink for 10 months or whatever. And of course, things go wrong and it pushes him to obviously drink again. You know that it's going to happen at some point in time that he's going to relapse. So he drinks again. And I don't know. I guess this happens with some people. I don't know. But he's just the complete opposite when he's drunk. Like, he's just the meanest person. He's violent. He just hates everyone. And there's just this whole scene of him saying terrible, terrible things to his nephew. And it's just like, I don't, maybe because I haven't really witnessed that, it didn't seem right to me. That,
Well,
when people get drunk, they just become the exact opposite of the person that they are.
no. Maybe that's who he really is.
Maybe.
And when he's sober, he's hiding it.
It's just, he's playing. He's playing you. Playing you for a fucking fool.
Well, they say that some people are mean drunks.
But I mean, this is like polar opposite. This is like evil twin different.
Hmm.
It's just like, holy shit. I'm surprised someone didn't kill you when you were drunk.
Hmm.
But I mean, it's good. It's like a light recommend. It's just, you got the romance in there, which is done really well, which is fantastic. The crime drama aspect of it it's executed well, but again, it's predictable. You know what's going to happen. You know how it's going to end, really, from the outset. But, it's a good time. A light recommend.
Okay.
It's two Ken Loaches now that I haven't been overly impressed with him.
Hmm.
It's got some comedy thrown in there too.
What was the name of this one again?
My name is Joe.
And that's available on Netflix.
Yeah, yeah.
Check that out. Let's go ahead and talk about some predictions next week. We were off last week, so we don't have anything to predict for that. So let's go into next week, and we have Minions. Minions.
Oh man, the excitement.
Oh God, this one. Ugh. What?
Excited for this.
I'll.
Oh, I can't wait.
For some reason, I think that this one's going to be somewhat well received. So I'll say like 62.
I'm gonna say 78.
Oh wow. We also
No,
have
I'm just
we also have Selfless, which is the one with Ryan Reynolds, directed by Tarsum Singh. Just found that out.
oh,
So
he's still around doing stuff.
yeah, so that one's probably going to be pretty bad.
Yep,
That's my guess.
it'll probably look cool and just be bad.
Did you know that every one of his films on Rotten Tomatoes is rotten? Every single one of them.
That doesn't surprise me.
What are you thinking on Selfless?
I think he's gonna keep that streak going, and I'm gonna say 42.
I agree, and I'm gonna say 32 on this one.
Oh, you're going even lower.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And we also have The Gallows, which is the found footage horror film.
0.
That's this one's it's
0.
getting some buzz. It's getting some decent buzz here. This is a Blumhouse production, which usually those
People getting paid.
they rake in the dough. So you're still saying 0?
I'm going 0.
Okay.
Just that from now on, that's the default. As soon as you say found footage, 0.
I'm gonna say 51 on that one.
It's like a formula in Excel that you can't change it. It's stuck there. As soon as you say that word, it plugs in a 0.
When I saw Terminator Genisys, I saw it in 3D, not by choice, but just because that was the earliest showtime that I could see. And they had a trailer for the new Paranormal Activity, which is going to be in 3D.
Oh fuck yeah, cool.
It's called Paranormal Activity Ghost Dimension. The Ghost Dimension.
Fuck yeah, dude.
And it was pretty cool. They shot it for 3D, so there was a lot of cool ghosts jumping out at you. Felt like I was seeing like a William Castle movie or something, where it was like, ooh, ghost vision.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, I don't know what to think about it, but it could be a cool, fun little gimmick, Next week in limited release, we have Amy, which is the Amy Winehouse biopic documentary.
All right.
Boulevard, which is the Robin Williams one.
Right.
It'll be his last film. We have Tangerine. I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty excited to see Tangerine.
I am as well.
It looks quite interesting. We have Strangerland. That's the one with Nicole Kidman. That's on VOD right now. So if you wanted to see that, you could see it on VOD. Doesn't look very good to me.
No, it doesn't.
Do I Sound Gay? Which is a documentary about what makes men sound like they're gay.
Okay.
I actually saw this week, and it's pretty interesting. It's not like I would have liked to have seen them delve a little bit more deeply into some of the topics, but it's okay. It's a pretty light documentary. And 10,000 Kilometers comes out next week.
Okay. All right.
On VOD next week, we have, pull up my list, Strangerland.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought that was already out. I'm pretty sure that is already out, but whatever. 10,000 Kilometers, The Suicide Theory, which I saw way back. That's pretty decent film about a guy who can't die. He's trying to kill himself, but every time he tries to kill himself, he comes back. So he basically hires this guy to try to kill him.
Cool.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. The Breakup Girl. I don't know anything about that. And What We Did on Our Holiday. That's
Alright.
I think a family film with David Tennant's in it. I can't remember who else is in it. There's a number of people in that. Next week on Blu-ray, we have Maggie. We have
Hey, how about that?
yeah, Slow West, The Town That Dreaded Sundown, the remake. We have I'm looking through the list here. The Color Out of Space, which is it's like a Lovecraft, it's like a German Lovecraft type film.
Okay. That sounds kind of interesting.
Yeah, I watched a trailer for it. It's shot in black and white. So, well, it's in black and white. I'm not sure if it was shot in black and white. It looks like one of those deals where they switched it to black and white in post. But The Pact 2, which I do not recommend that one, unfortunately. I really, really like the first one, but the second one is no good. Elimination Game, Deli Man. That's pretty much it. The Cell is getting a re-release on Blu-ray.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. How about that?
Woman in Gold also comes out. I forgot about that one. That was a quick turnaround. That's still playing in theaters here.
Yeah, that was quick.
Jeez. Criterion's.
We have one Criterion that's actually 2 films. It's like a dual set. Dual set. Adaptations of Ernest Hemingway's The Killers. First one is from 1946. The first adaptation. And then the next one is 1964, which has Cassavetes in it. And apparently it was made for TV, but it was deemed too violent for TV. So you get a double pack. It's been out on Criterion before. I guess it's just getting a re-release Blu-ray.
I'm also seeing on my list here on Blu-ray.com. It has The Big Chill. Is that?
I'm not seeing The Big Chill. I'm not seeing it. Just ahead. The other thing, one of the special features on the disc is a short film adaptation of Hemingway's The Killers, made by Tarkovsky when he was a student. So you get 3 The Killers adaptations. 3 of them.
Wow. It looks like The Big Chill is coming out, by the way, on Blu-ray.
You know, are you calling
Criterion.
me a fucking liar?
I'm looking at it on Amazon right now. It says
Is that what you're trying
pre-order
to do?
July 7th.
You know what? I don't see it. Okay? It's not here.
It's got a good
Alright.
It's got a good cover.
Just saying.
I didn't like The Big Chill, but it's got a good cover. You a Big Chill fan?
Well, it's not, hey. Criterion Collection website, not showing it.
Well,
Just saying. Just
all
throwing
right.
it out there.
Okay, well, Amazon has it, so
So, who's right here?
I think Amazon's right.
You think?
I'm gonna say it. I think Criterion didn't
Okay.
update their website.
Maybe. But I think the Big Chill's been out for a while already. I don't know. I could
Maybe
be
it's
wrong.
getting a Blu-ray. Maybe it was out on DVD and now it's getting a Blu-ray release.
Oh, it's in dual format. It's a dual format.
Because it also says Blu-ray Special Edition on the cover, so maybe it's some sort of re-release.
Oh my god.
It's a 3.
What?
Oh yeah, it looks like there was another edition that was a 3-disc set
Okay.
previously.
Alright. Whatever. It's coming out. It's not coming out. I don't know.
It's interesting because
Good job.
Criterion doesn't usually do that.
No.
All right, well, I think that'll wrap it up for this week. Send us your questions to podcast@filmpulse.net. Follow us on Twitter @FilmPulseNet and @FilmPulseKevin. And please take a look at our Patreon page at patreon.com/FilmPulse and consider subscribing for as little as $1 per month and helping support the show. We appreciate that so much. For Kevin Rakestraw, my name's Adam Patterson, and we'll see you on Thursday for Ryan Watches a Movie.